Let's start. MTC. Example reading. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.1. When Charles Darwin developed his theory of natural selection, he created a picture of the evolutionary process in which organismic adaptation was ultimately caused by competition for survival and reproduction. Charles Darwin. This biological struggle for existence bears considerable resemblance to the human struggle between businessmen who are striving for economic success in competitive markets. Long before Darwin published his work, social scientist Adam Smith had already considered that in business life, competition is the driving force behind economic efficiency and adaptation. Darwin, Adam Smith. It is indeed very striking how similar the ideas are on which the founders of modern theory in evolutionary biology and economics based their main thoughts. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.01. The use of computers in the arts surprises many people. Professionals in fine arts that might appear to be beyond the use of computers are making use of computers as much as other professionals. Artists use computers to experiment with design and color, sometimes using 3D graphics software. 3D. Computers eliminate the cost of having to experiment using actual materials such as paint and clay by providing virtual artistic materials. Some artists have moved completely to digital media, creating their artwork on computers to be viewed and appreciated in its computer-generated form. Film studies, visual arts, theater, literature, dance, photography, and music all benefit from computers. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.02. When you look at a bamboo stem, you notice that it is very thin, at most a couple of inches in diameter. But unlike trees, the stem does not thicken with age, so you can't tell how old a bamboo is by looking for tree rings in the middle of it. It stays the same width throughout its life, and this grass can live for hundreds of years. It looks as though there are a lot of tubes piled up one on top of the other. These tubes are called culms and are one of the main reasons that the bamboo is so strong. Without these, the grass would be more likely to break. On each of these culms a branch will grow on which leaves will form. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.03. A mother rat will build a nest for her young even if she has never seen another rat in her lifetime. Similarly, a spider will spin a web, a caterpillar will create her own cocoon, and a beaver will build a dam, even if no contemporary ever showed them how to accomplish these complex tasks. That is not to say that these are not learned behaviors. It is just that these animals did not learn them in a single lifetime, they learned them over thousands of lifetimes. The evolution of animal behavior does constitute a learning process, but it is learning by the species, not by the individual, and the fruits of this learning process are encoded in DNA. DNA. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.04. Chemotherapy is the treatment of any disease using chemicals or drugs, but the term is most commonly used to refer to the treatment of cancers. Drugs that are used to treat cancers attempt to interfere with the rapid rates of growth and cell division of most cancer cells. However, at present few of these drugs can distinguish between cancer cells and normal body cells. Some cells of the body, such as white blood cells and cells lining the digestive tract, normally reproduce rapidly. During chemotherapy these cells are destroyed or damaged along with the cancerous cells. This results in the side effects, such as hair loss and nausea, associated with this form of treatment. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.06. There is a way toward understanding how technology evolves, but to get there we need to shift our thinking. What we should really be looking for is not how Darwin's mechanism should work to produce something entirely new in technology, but how heredity might work in technology. Darwin. If evolution holds in technology, then all technologies must descend in some way from the technologies that preceded them. In other words, evolution requires a mechanism of heredity, some detailed connection that links the present to the past. From the outside, it is impossible to see this mechanism. Looked at as a black-boxed device, it is hard to say how the laser has come into being from previous technologies. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.07. Gabriel Daniel Fahrenheit, creator of the Fahrenheit temperature scale, discovered that salt mixed with ice creates a solution with a lower freezing point than water alone. Gabriel Daniel Fahrenheit. Thus, salt causes snow and ice to melt. Most localities haven't found a better way to remove ice from roadways and sidewalks than salt. Salt is also effective in keeping hard packs of ice from forming in the first place. While a number of chemicals have been developed to melt ice, salt remains a much cheaper alternative. So why don't all localities use salt to treat icy roads? Ecological problems have led some cities to ban the use of salt completely. Salt also causes corrosion of vehicles, pavement, bridges, and any unprotected steel in surrounding structures. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.08. There is a good chance that in a science class, or even on a TV weather report, you have been told that it rains when air cools because cold air holds less water than warm air. TV. Some textbooks have even shown the atmosphere as a sponge being squeezed to cause rain. This is not true because air does not hold water at all. It is not even correct to speak of air being saturated. In reality, water in the atmosphere is constantly condensing and evaporating. When the temperature of the water vapor drops, the energy of the molecules decreases, so there is more condensation than evaporation and water droplets form. The air itself does not play any part in the process besides carrying the molecules of water along with it. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.09. Given the personal nature of content often posted on social networking sites, including pictures and personal accounts of whereabouts, it's very important that you ensure that your teen or young adult is using privacy settings on these sites. SNS. That means people from outside your teen or young adult's network of friends shouldn't be able to view his or her personal profile or obtain identifying information or contact information. In our experience, many teens and young adults need some assistance from parents in setting up these privacy settings. So be prepared to become familiar with these social networking sites if you are not already. Or consider enlisting help from another supportive family member familiar with social networking sites. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.10. The Moon has only a negligible atmosphere, with no air for humans to breathe. Its gravity is just 1/6 of Earth's, and its temperature ranges are extreme, above the boiling point of water in the sun, approaching absolute zero in the shade. 6.1. Everything Armstrong and Aldrin did on the Moon depended on their spacesuits and their portable life support systems, which provided the microenvironments they needed to survive. Armstrong-Aldrin. The suits insulated them from the Moon's extreme temperatures, provided protection from environmental hazards and cosmic rays, enabled them to breathe, and allowed them to move about and do their work. The suits hosted the equipment that allowed the astronauts to communicate with each other, with Collins in Columbia above the Moon, and with mission control back on Earth. Columbia-Collins. The suits also enabled mission control to monitor the bodily functions of the astronauts so they could head off or deal with stresses and dangers. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.11. Before the advent of electronic and wireless communication, collaboration was actually more costly because participants needed to spend a great deal of time face-to-face, so they could share information and build on one another's ideas. The technology evolution that is still occurring is dramatically decreasing the costs of collaboration. Before our current technology made communication easy, group members needed to either be located relatively close to one another or spend a great deal of time traveling if they needed to collaborate in real time. Technology changed everything. Although it's still important for people to have opportunities to meet one another in person, today's collaborative groups use a wide range of technological tools to help them communicate with one another regularly and efficiently, even when members are in different locations and different time zones. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Chapter 1 Science and Technology 0.12. A cornerstone of the scientific worldview is that science often shows that phenomena occur because of processes that are not apparent to the non-scientist. Some of these processes are invisible and involve unseen entities, such as vapor, molecules, or atomic charges. Scientific theories postulate that the structure of the natural world is not what is seen by the lay person. The sun does not rotate around the earth, instead the earth rotates around the sun. Seemingly solid objects, such as a table, are in fact composed mainly of empty space with atoms dispersed within it. Therefore scientific knowledge is esoteric. It reveals that the world is not how lay people think it is. In this way science frequently contradicts, and advances beyond, common sense. This is why science enables humans to predict and control the world more than they can without science. MTC. Good job.